Hey, 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 welcome everybody. It's Carmina. How you guys doing? It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Friday could not come fast enough this week. And I'm so glad to be here with you this evening. So today we're having a master class. That's what I call a master class. So first of all, again, I want to welcome you to Walk It Off, the virtual walking club. My name is Carmina Mevs. I am a certified health and a Walk 15 coach. And today I want to talk to you about what sugar does in your body, why we start eating it and can't stop, and more importantly, how to transform those sugar cravings so that we can kick the habit for good. Now, this is going to be a very interesting class. I've done this class a few times in the past, and people have always been blown away by the content of things they didn't know. So it's my goal today to arm you with information so that you can go out and transform those cravings. First of all, understand where they're coming from, and then have the information to transform them into something good. So I want you to know that if Superman had kryptonite, I have sugar. Just like you, I have a weakness for sugar. I love sugar, and it's a problem, right? Why is it so important to kick the sugar habit? Well, we have a health crisis in our hands. I am sure this is no surprise to you. And sugar is at the heart of it. You know, for a long time, people thought that fat was the culprit, but sugar is the real problem because sugar causes weight gain, which negatively impacts your health, and eventually it leads to advanced diseases, right? And, you know, on a global level, over 10% of the world's population is actually obese. And in 2015, researchers determined that 7% or 4 million of deaths were caused by obesity. So this is serious stuff. This is not, this is not vanity. This is not, losing weight is not a matter of vanity. It's a matter of survival. And it's so important that we address that issue. So I see you guys are coming on. Welcome. And thanks for joining me this evening as we talk about sugar and its negative impact on our health. Unfortunately, Facebook. Oh, here you go. Hi, Amy. I can see you. Good to have you here. I'm glad you could make it. Awesome. I was worried that I would not be able to see you guys' comments, but it looks like I can. So I'm so excited about that because I've not been able to interact with you on the Facebook Live for the past few days because I don't know, something was wrong with it. But I'm glad that it's fixed and I can say hi and give you shout outs. So happy to have you with me tonight, Amy. And there's a few other people, but they're not showing yet on the comments because they haven't commented yet. So if you're on, just drop me a one, say hello. Hi, Steven, Super Steve. How are you? So happy to see you. Awesome. Kimberly, how are you? So good of you to join us. Hi, Steven. Perfect. I'm so excited that Facebook Live is actually working today and I can see comments and interact with you guys as we're going to this really, really super important information. So as I was saying, in the world today, we're facing a crisis. It's a health crisis because obesity is a real problem. People are getting bigger and bigger. and it's causing people to die. This is no small issue. So let's talk about sugar, right? And because the first challenge is figuring out, where do those cravings come from? Where do they come from, right? So traditionally, nutritionists will think of food in terms of calories. Well, I prefer to think of food in a pretty cool way. And the concept is called the polarity of food. And the concept of polarity is pretty simple. It simply means that everything has two extremes, right? So, for example, hot and cold, or the poles, are the extremes of temperature, right? So, in the universe, when you find one thing, you have the potential of finding its opposite. So that's why we have night and day, good versus bad, light versus darkness. Anyway, you get the idea. So everything has an opposite. So how does this relate to food? Well, first we have to realize that food has some energy to it. Food is not just calories or fat subgrams or nutrients, right? Food has an energetic quality to it. So, for example, if we think of leafy greens, they sprout out the earth, so they are said to have a lifting energy. Whereas root vegetables like potatoes or, squash, they grow into the earth and they're said to have a grounding energy. So, you have that energy. That's like a really pretty general way of looking at it. But I want you to imagine a spectrum, like a line, right? So on the right side, we have what we call the expensive bliss foods. And those foods tend to be full of sugar. And the energy that you get from those foods is that they make you feel happy, relaxed, you're blissful. And then on the opposite hand, you have what we call the contracted tension foods. Now, contracted tension foods tend to be loaded with salt. Things like meat, eggs, things like that. So when you have those foods, the energy you get from them is that they make you feel tense, they make you feel grounded, and even a little bit aggressive, right? So two opposites. You have blissful and you have tense foods. That's the two. Now, what does it have to do with cravings? I'm glad you asked. Because imagine that you're coming from work, you had a long day, you're tired, the kids have not been they've been terrible that day, so you're stressed out. What type of food do you think you're going to reach for at the end of the day? Are you going to reach for the expensive foods that make you feel happy and relaxed? Or are you going to reach for the contracted ones that makes you feel tense and stressed? Your body naturally wants the expensive foods because they relax you, right? So this is why it's so easy at the end of the day, at the end of a long day, to reach for a bowl of M&M or a pint of ice cream. Right? Because naturally, that's what your body craves. Because if life is a system of opposites and your body is always trying to find its balance, so naturally, when you are in a tense situation, your body is going to gravitate towards the foods that's going to take it from one end, either end of the spectrum, and bring it somewhere in the middle. So, this is where your cravings come from. And that's pretty fascinating. Now that we understand where cravings come from, let's talk about what happens in your body when you eat sugar and why you experience that awesome sugar high. All right, so here's a quick breakdown. I want you to picture in your mind a roller coaster, right? Now, when you're when you eat sugar, if you eat sugar regularly, and you probably are because processed foods are loaded with sugar, even things that you wouldn't think in a million years have sugar, if you look at the ingredient list, you will find that they have sugar. So anyway, there's on a regular basis, you consume a lot of sugar. And particularly if you consume food that are high in sugar and low in protein, fat, or fiber, those foods high in sugar are going to get assimilated in your body really, really fast, because the part of what protein, fat, and fiber do is that they slow down the assimilation of sugar. So when you eat food that are pretty much pure sugar, your body absorbs it really, really quickly. And when it does, your blood sugar will spike up. So you're now at the top of the roller coaster. Now, one thing you should know is that your brain uses 50% of your blood sugar. So when you have such a spike in your blood sugar, your brain goes into panic mode, right? Because this is just such a big surge, it doesn't, it's like it's on alert, and it will sense danger. And your brain will send a signal to your pancreas, right, to send out insulin, because that's what it needs to start regulating your blood sugar. However, your pancreas is overworked, right? We eat, not so cleanly nowadays. We eat a lot of junk food. So your pancreas has somewhat lost its ability to calibrate it just right. So your pancreas sends out too much insulin. And when it sends out too much insulin, now your blood sugar levels drop. So now you are at the top of the roller coaster, and when there's too much insulin, you go way to the bottom. So now you're in the dumps, right? You don't have enough blood sugar. And what do you think your body craves when you're down there? Of course, it's gonna crave sugar, right? And so the quickest way to satisfy this is to feed it some more sugar. So you're gonna have sugar, and the same thing is gonna happen. Your blood sugar is going to spike up, so you're going back on top of the roller coaster. And then again, your pancreas overworking, sending out too much insulin, and you're back down. So imagine that roller coaster. You can do that all day long. Going up and down on that roller coaster of the blood sugar roller coaster. That's what we call it in a nutrition world, right? So, but that is not the end of the story, because here's what happens. When the insulin is sent out and takes care of, and remove that blood sugar, there's three places that it will send the sugar. As we talked about, it will send it to your brain, it will send it to your blood cells, it will send it to your muscles. However, if you've been eating so much sugar that all those receptors are full, guess where that excess sugar is going to go? That excess sugar goes right to your hips, because excess sugar gets stored as fat. Does that make sense? Okay. I wish that was the end of the story, but it's not. Because when your body is producing so much insulin, there is one hormone that it can no longer produce. And that hormone is called glucagon. And the function of glucagon is to take fat out of storage and burn it. So do you see the conundrum? Now, when you put yourself on that sugar roller coaster, not only, thanks for the like, not only is your body storing fat, but you've also taken away its ability to burn fat. Right? So it's a double whammy. So, it's not fun, is it? But this is how you get stuck in that cycle of gaining weight and not really knowing what's happening. But now you know. So now we understand, first of all, where your craving comes from. We also understand why once you start eating sugar, you can't stop. So what can we do about it? Well, I'm going to give you 3 tips to handle those sugar cravings. The first tip is to get enough sleep. Sleep deprivation impacts the function of the brain that's responsible for making good decisions. So when you're not sleeping enough, you can't make healthy choices. Okay? Because one thing that happens when you don't sleep enough is that you release a peptide called ghrelin. And what ghrelin does, it increases your appetite and particularly increases your craving for sugary food. Okay? So sleeping is key. Sleeping enough is key. Number 2, you have to eat the right amount of protein and the right kind as well. If you eat too little animal protein, you are going to have massive sugar cravings. Massive. If you eat too little animal protein, you're also going to have sugar cravings. They're going to be less intense though. So the key is finding the right balance between the two. And that's one of the things I do with my clients when I work with them. I help them figure out what is that right amount, right? What is the right foods that they need to put in their bodies so that they satisfy the needs, right? And the third tip I have for you is going to sound a little funny, but is to sniff out fat-free or low-fat foods. Why? Because when we went through the fat-free craze, which we, to some extent we still are in, food manufacturers took out fat of products. And what do you think they replaced that fat with? Sugar. So when you sniff low-fat or fat-free foods, because those products are loaded with sugar, you will tame those cravings. Now, if the temptation of eating those foods is too great, if it's too big of a temptation, then I would recommend vanilla essence, green apples, or bananas. So if you sniff those things, they will tame your sugar craving. I know it's a little weird, but it's highly effective. Hi, Brenda. Thanks for joining. Awesome. So these are 3 tips for you to help you tame those sugar cravings, right? And because, having a sweet tooth is not a cute problem. It's not, because as we talked about, sugar causes weight gain, right? And gaining weight negatively impacts your health, which eventually will lead to advanced diseases. So this is no joke. Like, we really have to get a handle on that issue. And is the solution to ban sugar altogether? Oh, heck no. Life is too short. So the ban is not necessary. However, the key is to enjoy sugar responsibly, right? And you guys, I realized that was a lot of information I threw at you, and I hope some of it was surprising, and more important, I hope some of it was useful. But information in itself is not useful. Knowledge is not power until and unless you actually use it, right? Because how many times we've come across some information, we got really excited about it. We're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Now it makes sense. And then we do absolutely nothing with it, right? So I want to give you 3 ingredients that are going to make the difference between useful information and lasting transformation, because this is what matters, right? Because a lot of us know what to do. Like, you can Google the information, but unless you do something with it, the transformation only doesn't happen. So you need three things for transformation. You need a system, you need support, and you need accountability. And this is what I want to invite you to. I want to invite you to a fit and healthy 30-day jumpstart program with me. This is for 30 days. It's short enough that you won't get bogged down. It's long enough that you will actually see some results. So if you are ready to jump into a fitter, better, leaner version of yourself, and summer is the right time to do it, right? Because we want to prep ourselves for the school season. We want to get our energy back. We want to feel good about ourselves, right? This is what it's about. It's about feeling comfortable in your body, fitting into those jeans, and looking at yourself in the mirror and giving yourself a thumbs up, right? So this is what I want to invite you to join me in this transformation journey that is going to start on August 21st. So I will put in the link at the bottom, but if you go to my website at getfitforlifenow.com, and the 4 is the number 4, it's not spelled out, so getfitforlifenow.com/jumpstart, it will take you to the registration page. So I have an early bird pricing. So if you want to take advantage of the early bird pricing, please run to the page because that's going to change come next Wednesday, which is the 16th of August. So, hi Regina, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for the thumbs up. Okay, so I'm so excited to start a new journey with you guys. And again, if you're not yet a member of Walk It Off, I invite you to join us. Okay, and the recording of this training will be on. So if you missed the beginning, I invite you to go back and listen to it. It was time well spent with you, with me. It was fun doing. I've never done it in a Facebook Live format, but I like it. So enjoy it. And if you want more information about the 30-day Jumpstart program, feel free to ping me, to inbox me. But again, I'm going to post the link for you. Again, it's getfitforlifenow.com/jumpstart. All right? Take care, everybody. Have a good night.